The legendary Swords of Justice Pokemon are returning to Pokemon GO's raid battles, and you do not want to miss out on any of them. And in this video, I'm going to be giving you a comprehensive guide on how you can take them down. Okay, how's it going everyone? Jinsula here with a brand new Pokemon GO video. I hope your week is going really well, and let's get right into it. So during this week, we are going to be seeing a new set of legendaries coming to Pokemon GO's raid battles, and this is in conjunction with the Final Justice event. And of course, with the Final Justice event, we are going to be getting the debut of Resolute Form Keldeo, which means naturally we will see the other Swords of Justice Pokemon into the game. And they are going to be the legendary Pokemon in raids during this week, and they are actually pretty decent when it comes to Pokemon GO's gameplay. One of them in particular, Terrakion, is really good for raid battles, and then Virizion and Cobalion do have a place within the GO Battle League. So getting these Pokemon is often considered highly valuable, and this will be a great opportunity for you to potentially get 100% IVs, at least for Terrakion. So let's go over how you could take them down, starting with Cobalion. This is probably the easiest out of the three Swords of Justice Pokemon. Cobalion is a Steel and Fighting type Pokemon, which gives it three weaknesses in particular. It's going to be weak against Ground type, Fighting type, and Fire type raid damage. And then when it comes to resistances, it also has a plethora of different types that it's going to be resistant to. These include Rock, Poison, Bug, Dark, Dragon, Normal, Ice, Grass, and Steel type attacks. Make sure you avoid bringing any Pokemon with these types because they're going to be ineffective against Cobalion. And if you want to get yourself perfect IVs, you're going to want to look for one that is 1727, and if it's weather boosted, it's going to be 2159. Cobalion is weather boosted by cloudy weather and snowy weather. And if you want to secure the win against Cobalion, it's actually quite easy of a raid boss. You just need 4 trainers that are at least level 30 with all of their Pokemon that are at least level 30. And if you want to challenge yourself, you can duo this Pokemon with another player that is at least level 40, and all of their Pokemon are level 40 with the best counters. Speaking of which, these are the best counters for Cobalion raids. You will want to go with Mega Lucario as your Mega Evolution. That is going to be a very hard hitter, but probably you will want to go with Primal Groudon if you have it. That's going to be probably the better option between the two, and especially because it deals a lot of DPS, and the rest of the best counters are actually ground types. Speaking of which, alongside your Mega Lucario or Primal Groudon, you will want to go with Shadow Groudon or Shadow Heatran with ground type attacks or fire type attacks, and Terrakion Form Landorus with ground type attacks is also a really good option. You could also go with regular Lucario with fighting type attacks, or Darmanitan with fire type attacks, and those are going to be really good options as well. Next up, let's go over Virizion, and this is going to be a very interesting Pokemon considering it has a ton of weaknesses, but you will only want to go with one type. So, Virizion is going to be a duo grass and fighting type Pokemon, and that gives it a double weakness to flying types. And that is very key because flying types are going to deal a ridiculous amount of damage, and right now we have plenty of really good flying types in the game. And it's also going to be weak against Fairy type, Fire type, Ice type, Poison type, and Psychic type damage. So if you're lacking in really good flying types, specifically the ones I'm going to mention later, then you could go with any of these other typings as attacks, and you're going to be good to go. And in terms of resistances, you will want to avoid bringing Pokemon with Grass type, Electric, Rock, Water, Dark, and Ground type attacks because those are going to be ineffective against this raid boss. And if you want to get perfect IVs of Virizion, it's going to be pretty identical to Cobalion. You will want to look for one that is 1727 and 2159 if it's weather boosted. And Virizion is going to be weather boosted by sunny weather and cloudy weather. And if you want to secure the win against Virizion, it's going to require the same number of trainers as Cobalion. 4 trainers that are at least level 30 will suffice. And if you want to challenge yourself, you can duo Virizion, and in some cases you can even solo it if you have the absolute best counters. Speaking of which, these are going to be the Pokemon you will want to bring against Virizion. They include, of course, Mega Rayquaza, considering it is the absolute best flying type in the game. And then there is, of course, regular Rayquaza. Just make sure you go with Dragon Ascent. And then Shadow Staraptor is a really good Pokemon to bring to this raid boss. And then, of course, Shadow Moltres is another very powerful flying type. And if you do not have any of these Pokemon, just go with regular Staraptor with flying type attacks, and that'll be okay for this particular raid boss. Alright, and finally, that leaves us with what is arguably the best out of the 3 Swords of Justice Pokemon, and that is of course going to be Terrakion. Terrakion is a rock and fighting type Pokemon, which gives it weaknesses to fairy type, fighting type, grass, ground, psychic, steel, and water type attacks, and it's going to be resistant against bug, dark, fire, normal, poison, and rock type attacks. So this Pokemon is not going to have a double weakness, much like Virizion, but it will have a plethora of different weaknesses that you could bring. Now, when it comes to perfect IVs, this is going to be slightly different from both Cobalion and Virizion. You will want to look for one that is 2113, and if it's weather boosted, it's going to be 2641. And Terrakion is going to be weather boosted by the 2 types of cloudy weather, specifically partly cloudy and cloudy. Now, compared to the other 2 Pokemon, you will pretty much want to bring the same amount of raiders. About 4 trainers that are at least level 30 will be okay, and you can duo Terrakion with the best counters. And these are going to be the Pokemon you will want to bring. Primal Kyogre or Primal Groudon are going to be good, but I would suggest going with Primal Kyogre, and you could also go with Mega Alakazam if you do not have either of the primals. And then, of course, Crown Sword Zacian is going to be probably the best, hardest hitting Pokemon for this raid boss, and then there is of course Shadow Mewtwo, which is one of the best Pokemon in the game. And then there's also going to be Duskmane Necrozma as a really good option. Just make sure you go with steel type attacks. And then if you do not have any legendaries or mythicals that you could use, you could always go with regular Lucario with fighting type attacks, as well as Alakazams with psychic type attacks. Okay, there you go. This is how you could take down the Swords of Justice legendary Pokemon, and pretty straightforward. All of them are quite easy, and I will say out of the 3, Terrakion is probably going to be the highest priority. And that is mainly because when it comes to PvE content like raid battles, Team Go Rocket battles, and gym battles, this is one of the best Pokemon you can have. The one thing you do need to keep in mind is that all 3 of these Pokemon are truly unlocked with their exclusive move, which is Sacred Sword. And unfortunately, I do not think Sacred Sword will be available from raid battles during this week, so if you do get yourself a 100% IV of any of them, maybe you will want to use an Elite Charge TM, especially Terrakion. However, I will say Terrakion is probably the only one you will want to care about, because Cobalion and Virizion are specifically only good for PvP. So if you do not care about PvP, then Terrakion is the one you will want to focus in on. So yeah, that's essentially going to be it for this video. Definitely share your thoughts regarding these 3 raid bosses down below. Which one of them are you going to be going after? Definitely share what that is in the comments down below, and let's have a great discussion. And thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if it's your first time here, and don't forget that notification bell so you know exactly when I upload videos. Real quick, let me give a shout out to every single one of my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support the Content channel, the best way you could do that is going to be by joining my Patreon. And if you decide to become a paid Patreon member, I'm going to personally add you to my Pokemon Go friends list. So that means for stuff like remote raids, the friendship system, opening and sending gifts, all that good stuff. If you want to play Pokemon Go with me, make sure you go and check out my Patreon. I'll put a link to it in the description below. And if you want to support my channel in a completely different way, you can do so by following me on social media. My handle is @Jinsula. I'm on the platforms you see right now on the bottom of your screen. Make sure you go over there and give me a follow, and that'll be a huge help to my channel. And you'll have access to some exclusive content, and you'll be able to keep up with my daily life. Oh, and before I end this video, let me tell you, I actually have an Etsy store. And if you want to get yourself a custom K-pop gift for someone that you love for the holidays this year, or if you want to get something for yourself, go and check it out. I'll put a link to it in the description below. Get something really cool, and I'll try to add some new stuff every single day. And that's going to be it for this video. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself today, and I'll catch you all later.